Husband, 26M, told me he'll never get on a plane despite knowing and accepting I, 26F, have always wanted to live in Japan. How do I move on from this? I've been with my husband for 4 years now. We married last year in October. Our entire relationship, he has known I've been studying Japanese and that I want to move to Japan to teach English. I've been working with tutors for 3 years to learn the language and was planning to start the process of getting a TEFL certificate, teach English as a foreign language. I started looking into programs I could work with for after I get this certificate and talking to him more seriously about where I specifically would like to move to. He's never been out of state before, but has talked about wanting to travel and said he would love to live in Japan. All of a sudden, he just looks at me and asks if we're going to have a long-distance relationship. I obviously asked what he meant by that, and he goes on to tell me he's afraid of planes and he could never go to Japan because of it. That I would have to go there by myself and come back regularly to see him. I have no idea why he didn't say anything like this earlier. He knew from the start this is what I always wanted, and now he's saying he thought I was just going to teach online? That he didn't realize I actually wanted to live there? I don't know what to do. I don't feel like this is something leave him over, but this is something I've wanted to do since I was 11 years old. My parents never supported the idea and so I had to wait until I was financially independent and stable enough to start formally learning everything. I've put a lot of my time and money into this dream. It was finally within sight, but he won't budge. He just keeps shooting it down whenever I try to come up with a way for us to move there. He says it's useless to even try. I don't know what to do. Edit to answer some questions and comments. Biggest one is that the plan never was to move to Japan permanently. We talked, in depth, about going there for 6 months to a year at first, depending on what is offered to me when I apply, and then coming back for a year or two before doing it again. It was not one-sided conversations. He even said it would make for great experiences for our children when we have them and thought it would be so cool if our kids could speak Japanese. I've tried many times to get him to learn the language properly, yet he always insisted I could just translate for him. He knows very basic phrases and I have yet to get him to learn more. I know I was vague, but I didn't think people would assume we didn't have proper conversations about it. Even during the conversation where he was telling me it's useless to look for solutions, he was saying he wished he could go. He has mentioned he doesn't like planes before, but never went in depth to what extent he doesn't like them. We did talk about taking a boat a few times while discussing getting there. The conversation always seemed like the answer was that we'll feel it out when the time comes to actually make a decision, not him giving a solid no to either. I very much dislike boats and water in general, but I'm 100% willing to go on a boat if it means we go together. Yes, he has anger issues. I know people will say it is not my job, but I have been working with him to try to get it under control. I am so tired from working and studying, though, that I've been ignoring him when he's angry until he cools down to come talk to me rather than working through it with him lately. Many people have asked how he would even come with me and what would he do while there. We were looking specifically into a dependent visa for him. If I were to get a working visa, I should be able to sponsor him since we're married. As for work, he does freelance graphic design online. He can work anywhere. I hate my job and don't mind having to find a different one when we come back. Some people mentioned it would be social suicide for him and that I'd be removing him from all he knows. He moved to the other side of the state, away from friends and family, less than a year before we met. He doesn't talk to his family often, and we only see them once a year. In the 4 years we've been living together, he has had a friend visit maybe 3 times. Most of his friends are online, and so there would be little change for him in that aspect. I am not clueless about Japan. I have some Japanese friends online and one friend that I grew up with who has been to Japan many times. Everyone I have ever personally known who has gone to Japan has said it is absolutely worth it. 2 of my coworkers lived in Japan for several years, got married, and they and their spouses often go back to Japan. I know it's not going to be all rainbows and butterflies. Someone also mentioned something about anime. That's not what fueled my desire. I took a world languages class when I was 11, was praised for grasping the languages so well, and got super cocky. I thought I was going to be able to learn every single language, go all over the world, and be super rich just by being able to speak multiple languages. I very quickly learned languages are hard, but it didn't stop me from still wanting to learn. I self-studied a much smaller amount of languages for a few years after that before finally deciding to focus on one at a time. My ultimate goal is to be conversational in 3 foreign languages before I croak, and I would love to be able to visit/live in the countries of those languages for a bit as well. Japanese/Japan just ended up being the one I found most interesting. Someone will probably say I don't have to defend myself, but I hate when I tell someone that I'm studying Japanese, and they just spew phrases in an anime voice at me. No disrespect to anime, it's just not the reason I want to learn the language and live in Japan. They're cartoons, I know life isn't a cartoon. It is getting hard to keep track of all the comments and questions. I'll try to go through them better and answer what I see, but I cannot guarantee I will see everything. I would really like to not give out too much information. It may be irrational, but I don't want anyone I know seeing it and possibly connecting it to me or anything like that. I plan to sit him down and try to have a much better structured conversation about it either tonight or tomorrow. I originally wrote this post not too long after our conversation and was, obviously, very upset. I guess I was looking for people to share similar experiences and help me navigate through this. I hope to find out why he went from what I perceive to be excited about the whole plan to telling he's terrified of planes, and I guess travel in general, as many have pointed out, and that he'll never go. I will update when I can. Thank you to those who were kind and gave actual advice, and thank you to those who showed concern. I am still a bit angry, but maybe we can talk this through, and things will work out. I also talked to my friend about it and he said he would go to Japan with me if I don't want to go alone, so I can still go see it when I'm ready to. So, I do still have plans to go even if my husband doesn't want to. It's just a bummer I will have to more than likely visit many times without him rather than be able to visit and live there with him for a while.